mind controlled. I do think there are some that are trying to do their job and trying to keep people safe and do have somewhat of a heart, that are willing to listen when they're presented with alternative information. And so that was also important to note as well. So random leads a couple articles here from Bloomberg.com. Swaps soar on Germany's act of desperation. Credit markets, a lot of interest in the economy right now in Europe. A lot of things going on, a lot of riots on the way. The United States appears that it's going to follow in the steps that Greece has taken. U.S. stocks drop on German trading restrictions and foreclosures. And this article is not entirely honest. Many of the reports are not entirely factual and honest when they say that the recent dip in the stock market in the Dow was because of what took place in Greece. No, it's because of what's taking place with the dollar. They don't really want to talk about how bad it is on the topic of that. BP told feds it can handle oil spill 60 times larger than Deepwater Horizon. A lot of questions are being asked about this oil spill. Was this a staged event to literally end offshore drilling? Or was this an accident, a genuine accident, and they are actually declining to tell us the real damage that has been done on the part of BP? So there's so many other things here. Here's another one. One response to U.S. Coast Guard threatened CBS News crew with arrest for filming oil spill disaster. This is also in the news and raises more questions about what they're hiding. Okay, that's also in the news and being widely reported in the alternative and mainstream media at this time. We'll get to this report later. Portland, Oregon, child prostitution in Portland. I feel like I need to do a 10-minute special on this, and I will go ahead and cover that later on the broadcast. And, of course, anytime you want to join the conversation, give me a call at 503-288-4442. Power play over immigration law. LA's boycott resolution sparks a threat over power the city receives from Arizona. And by the way, check out the trailer for the film Illegal, Machete rather. It appears to be a full-on call to action for Mexicans to attack white Americans, painting white Americans with a broad brush, like you're all racist and want to see Mexicans dangling from a rope. But the film, in a very glamorous, attractive, and sexy way, does show Mexicans hacking up white people with machetes. The interesting thing about the film, and we talked about it last week, is there are things happening in the film that happen later on in reality. In other words, they were put in the movie script before they manifested in the world of headlines, such as Arizona passing that particular immigration bill, which is not a new immigration bill. It's simply a call to action to enforce a law that's already been put in place. And so this is causing major uproar and controversy, but from those that are calling for total open borders and those that are calling for total closed borders, you do see a lack of concern or interest in discussing Mexico and how Mexico became as poor as it became, why those people appear to be being pushed out of their country. And so I think that there needs to be a more holistic look at the situation and why the people are literally being pitted up against one another in some sort of a manufactured race war. So we fight with one another, perceived differences based on color of skin and where our ancestors came from, and instead of realizing that the big banks have literally bankrolled our whole continent. So until we get to that point, that common ground, we're not going anywhere but like a dog chasing its tail. So at least be aware of it. Clients worried about Goldman's dueling goals. As the housing crisis mounted in early 2007, Goldman Sachs was busy selling risky mortgage-related securities issued by its longtime client, Washington Mutual, a major bank based in Seattle. Okay. Washington Mutual, WAMU. So when you look at the Washington Mutuals where they used to be today, what do you see? You see Chase. You see the swastika, a constant reminder that the Bank of International Settlements, Hitler's bankers, are in control of your nation's currency. Now, you look at where all these conflicts are around the world, what's going on in Afghanistan, Iraq, other places in the world. What's the common theme? They don't have a central bank that's controlled by the Bank of International Settlements. And so when you're able to see that, you're able to figure out one of the many reasons why we're there. Lack of trust pummels bank lending in Europe, credit markets. You know, the other day, there was another young man. You might see him on TV here doing a show. I think it's called Populations. He asked me to help out, to do some camera work the other day. So, even though I don't have an abundance of time, I did help out for a couple of minutes. Because the topic was interesting. It was two bankers debating the Glass-Steagall Act. Of course, this was a bill that has been looked at in Congress lately this last week. Should we bring up this act that actually regulates big banks and could have prevented the big derivative fake bubble disaster that we faced? If they would have left that intact instead of removing it during the Clinton administration, we may not be where we are today economically, literally in debt up to our neck to countries like China, Japan, and others. And it's funny to watch, well, really sad, two bankers that appear to be highly intelligent ignore the fact that we're engaged in genocide at this time. Ignore the fact that we've already been in debt up to our neck from the war debt. We just haven't paid for it yet. And so there's all this pay now, buy later mentality, belief system, BS belief systems going through people's heads instead of realizing all this stuff is going to cost us a lot of money. The fact that they're not creating more jobs, more debt, more people on food stamps, more people on unemployment with no plan, by the way, as to what happens to us, to those of you, when your unemployment benefits run out. Where are you going to live? Where are you going to live? So there are calls right now for people to organize to resist what the big banks have done to our society, to band together in large numbers and refuse to leave your home in the event of some sort of declaration that you have to leave your home in, say, 72 hours or 30 hours, 30 days rather, or 60 days. The principle of not participating in the enslavement process, in what's going on. And there are many police chiefs out there as well, and sheriffs that have made declarations over the past year saying, not a lot, but I've read a couple reports saying they're not going to cooperate with the big banks. They're not going to use their precious man hours. I think I heard a click there, Bill. Not use their precious man hours to kick people out of their homes. So we do have one phone call. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to that phone call. Looks like we only have about 42 minutes left, so we'll try to take in some other phone calls as we go along. Go ahead, caller.
Oh, yes. I was watching the show just about half an hour ago on Channel 22. They were speaking about this new world order, and I kind of coincides with what you're saying about the military value of our country. And
well, I'm not familiar with what show was on, but there's a lot of producers like Bill there who puts on shows like Invisible Empire. I think that's playing this week. And that's a great new documentary film that actually shows you about the plan for the New World Order from the elites themselves, the Rockefellers of the world, the Rothschilds of the world, Bill Clinton, Obama, George W. Bush, not only senior but junior. So this call for a New World Order publicly has been going on for a long, long time. So that's one film I want to recommend people watch out for and access. Invisible Empire.
Oh, yeah, okay. Is there anything that we as American citizens, the public, is there anything we can do? I know that things sound kind of,
right,
wacky and everything, but what can we do?
Well, I think, go ahead.
They were speaking of, like some of the graduates of Yale University that were in the skulls and bones and all that stuff there.
Sir, nothing can be explained in 5 seconds, nor do I claim that I can explain everything that you're looking for in 5 seconds. But I think on the obvious level, there's a lot we can do locally to develop community and come together and provide some sort of comfort in light of this New World Order structure that we're living in. Because it's more than just the wars and the economic meltdowns. The war is being waged in the minds of men and women. It's the sick propaganda that you're seeing on the channels above and below. That's also part of the New World Order. Women being dehumanized and men being told, hey, if you don't have a job, you can go into the military. So what I suggest you do is reach out to people in your community, young people in your community, because that's all you can physically change right here. But you can change a lot if you're willing to believe that you can make a change by reaching out to people in your community, whether it be going on Access TV and starting a TV show, starting a radio show at KBOO Radio and offering a new perspective beyond the left-right paradigm. And I think that a station like that definitely needs a lot of diversity going in and out of those doors. That's what a community radio station is there for. There's many other ways you can get involved in being a media activist, but beyond being the public spotlight in your community, there's a lot you can do, especially when a lot of parents have too much time on their hands or they're not concerned about where their children are going to go. So you're going to see a lot of gangs pop up in the future because the climate is ripe for gangs to flourish. The economy is going to continue to go down, so there are a lot of people that can be in a position to be mentors. Does that answer part of your question?
Yes, it does, sir, and I really appreciate the time and effort that you've put forth to explain it to me. And I wish you guys all the success in the world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I mean, I've tried before to give easy solutions to this, but you know what? At this point, I don't believe in them. In fact, I believe some of the stuff's going to come to pass. And I think a lot of